When you are trying to figure out how to achieve your health, wellness, or fitness goal, most of the self-care advice emphasizes stress less, sleep more. Today we'll uncover a tiny bit of what that really means and how something as simple as the placement of your tongue can help you achieve all that and more. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Mo, and this is 52 Weeks of Self-Care with Mo. Just so that you know, this is a part of a sequence. I'm glad you come across this video, and my hope is that it's your year for self-care, and you'll head over to simplifyselfcare.com, get on the email list so you can get all the emails in the order with the tools and explanations for the 52 weeks of self-care that will help set your body up to achieve your goals. For all of you in the email list, this is your first week, and we're starting with the 2 tongue techniques. Let's begin with the self-care advice that emphasizes stress less, sleep more. It's true that it will completely change your body's ability to achieve your goal. And the reason is, both improve your body's ability to rebound and rebalance from the next and the next day's stressors. That's because they both support your body's biggest influencer, the 3 organs that make up your HPA axis. That's why we start focusing on it first. Reducing stress, sleeping more are dependent on messaging that's pulsing throughout your body by your 3 organs. And here's the first of many, many realizations I hope to share with you about your amazing body. It has what it needs to help you influence your body's perceived stress, and in turn, better sleep is the result. Better sleep in turn helps you to reduce the body's perceived stress. And I'm jump-starting our 52 weeks together by showing you first how 2 tongue techniques can help you turn whatever your want-tos are into can-dos. Sleep better? Can do. Attain a more optimal weight? Can do. Have a more balanced mood? Have better focus? Can do. Reduce my pain? Can do. Improve my digestion or my bowel movements? Can do. Move through a health crisis the best I can? Can do. Curb cravings? Can do. Improve my skin, adult acne? Can do. Reduce overactive autoimmune responses? Can do. Improve your fertility, optimize pregnancy, get your body back? Can do. Find a way to take better care of yourself? Can do. Whatever your goal, it's going to be a can do. Whatever you want to can be a can do when you consistently use 5 tools. The 5 tools we will layer on top of each other over the upcoming weeks to support your body's biggest influencer. 3 of those tools we're starting right now. First up are 2 tongue techniques, and the reason behind the 2 tongue techniques is what I'm going to share with you right now, so you know why you're going to do something. These 2 tongue techniques begin addressing the most common hurdle that stands in your way. At some point, most of us believe we're stuck, have too many hurdles to overcome, we're gerbil wheeling due to lack of willpower. It's not. Self-sabotage? Nope. Not enough time? Not that either. Because initially, we're circumventing the whole time thing by using the 2 tongue techniques in bed as you fall asleep. So you get to throw out the negative self-talk, get rid of the blame, because these are false beliefs and they just add more frustration, angst, and create even more unnecessary hurdles for us. So let the blame go. I'll provide an entire video on motivation later, but for now, it's not your lack of willpower, self-sabotage, lack of time, discipline, finances, or most anything you may come up with. These lists are actually byproducts or symptoms created by the real culprit. When you want to achieve your goal, the thing to do is to first place all your focus on the one thing that's influencing all your body systems, and that's your hormones. But instead of pinpointing a hormone or group of hormones to focus on, we're instead looking toward the most plausible root cause for having imbalance of your hormones to begin with. The hormones are triggered by your HPA axis. The hormones that are triggered by your HPA axis actually influence the other hormone. Your HPA axis can be triggered by your hormones Then it creates this unwanted loop that ends up culminating into you having a more and more difficult time achieving your goals. Here's the thing. Most of us talk about it as if it's age, and it's just what we should expect. So what do? Very simple. We're going to use 2-tongue techniques with a few slow breaths each night this week. And here's why. And it's amazing. Your tongue position can influence your entire body to calm itself, as can the tempo of your breath. For today, we're going to do a quick overview of the science because you've already been online and listening to videos. We'll get further. I promise you, each and every week, I'm going to delve a little bit more. But we are going to leverage the science. We're going to influence your HPA axis, since it's your HPA axis that's the real culprit and reason, most often, that you're stuck, gerbil wheeling, unable to achieve your goal. And I want to emphasize that every body, every shape, size, age, athletic prowess, if you have a goal, having influence on your HPA axis is where to start. Your HPA axis contributes largely to your bio-individual body terrain, and we'll absolutely dive into what that is in future weeks. But for today, knowing that if your bio-individual terrain is struggling to be in balance, then what we're learning today is useful. And here's the thing that prompted me to finally use it. When I learned that the Navy SEALs used it, somehow it clicked in my brain of, oh, I guess it's up there with enough importance for me to try. That took me a decade. I'll talk about that later. I'm going to put a reference down below so that you can hear about how the Navy SEALs use it. Again, top athlete, monks, those healing, and everything in between. The 2 techniques and slow breathing is useful for every body. And it literally takes mere moments. Even when we layer on all 5, we're talking about moments. I keep bringing up that this is for every body because when something seems to be too simple, it's easily disregarded. And I told you, I did that for years. We are focusing on calming your HPA axis for a calmer nervous system, which over time helps your hormonal balance optimize. Why? Because the hormones are running pretty much everything on that want to list that you have. This photo represents a loop that the majority of us experience in excess. Your body perceives something stressful. Again, it could be a food, it could be inflammation, it could be a surgery, it could be a pregnancy, it could be a move. Doesn't matter. If your body feels the need to include the hormones to help you get ready for fight, flight, or freeze, whatever it is, it's a multitude of things: sight, sounds, past trauma, smells, taste, allergy, pain, inflammation, lack of sleep, excess workload, on and on. What happens? Your H, that's your hypothalamus, tells your P, the pituitary, there's a stressor here we need to address. So the P receives that message, then sends the message to the third organ, your A, adrenal glands, to pump out the hormones that help you amp up. Increased hormone pulsing throughout your body signals and gets your nervous system involved. Over time, when your systems are involved, it ends up signaling back to the H. Oh boy, we are still needing some help here, and the looping begins. Optimally, once the stressor passes, the body can sense the calm, it can rebalance, and all is well. Unfortunately, this system is being overrun by our day-to-day stressors. It's when our stressor after stressor comes up, negatively impacting the body, all your systems start to be involved. And because these stress hormones are creating physiological cascades, these messages end up staying on, and the loop begins. You have your nervous system involved, signaling to your other systems to also chime in, your cardiovascular system, your digestive system, your musculoskeletal system, your respiratory system, and so on. This is an absolutely amazing mechanism that keeps us alive. That's the plus. That's how amazing your body is set up. And knowing how it's set up and knowing the science of what it's doing, we can learn to empower it and teach it to calm back down. We can run faster, think more focused, get the blood flow to our most important organs, avoid using the body fat, have a better chance at healing, increasing muscle mass, conceiving when the HPA axis is in balance. Before we go further, I'd like to point out my disillusion about the word stress. That seems to actually be normal for so many I've worked with. And that is, when I was so ill and trying to figure out why my body was failing in so many ways, I distinctly recall saying to others who would bring up my stress load, that I was not under stress. I pointed out I didn't live in a war-torn country. I wasn't famined. I wasn't abused. I had a pretty high bar to the definition of what stress was. And it seems to me that many, like myself, think it's something that you logically control. Now, your logical thoughts can certainly impact your HPA axis, and that's a piece of it. But to disregard that you have stress because you want to position yourself or your mind, or you believe like I did that I don't have stress because of what my definition was, that held me up. More importantly was that my complete false understanding that it was in my thought process versus a physiological cascade was way off. So maybe my mind and my grit was able to overcome the situations that I was in, and that was why I was saying I don't have stress. I was using meditation, I exercised, I ate well all the time, but the reality is my body was experiencing, my organs were experiencing severe stress. They were pushed into higher and higher gear over an entire decade, and they had less and less of the essentials that were able to support them because my HPA axis was up. I needed to get my body to be under less stress so that I could reset my HPA axis. Messaging it is the first essential that will support rebalancing when you're being pushed over and over and over. Again, I'm saying this quickly because I wish I had someone who had broken it down for me and given me the 3 organs and the physiology of it, because I would have removed the stigma that I was inflicting something on my body. I was not inflicting the stress. That's not how it works. So sharing the 3 organs, their function, and the tools that my body would respond to would have been a great help. It took me decades to understand that stress isn't my logical definition of what it was, and that my body was acutely under stress and chronically out of balance. Once I understood the physiological cascade and incorporated this, it took the first 90 days before I start to feel the first inkling of it. But I have also learned and see that people in highly, highly stressful situations, and Andrew Weil also says, someone who was in severe panic attacks, I'm going to give you the link to that video, was able to overcome medications and everything. It would have been helpful to understand why even when issues were identified and resolved, I still didn't experience a full recovery. I wasn't as energetic as I anticipated or pain-free every day. But it was when I understood that it wasn't a personality failure and that it was an HPA axis amped up that I was able to address the basis for everything. It's where to start. We're going to learn from my experience and begin with the biggest influencer first. Stress can be a reaction you experience when you're stuck in traffic, tension at work, deadlines, more work than hours in the day, lack of sleep, inflammation, foods that are a trigger, viruses, bacteria. We are so used to these things and taught to buck up instead of given the tools to just each night keep unwinding the daily stressors that our body accumulated and have been accumulating day in and day out. And this includes happy times. Again, anything that pumps out the hormones used for fight, flight, or freeze. Which includes times of euphoria. It's not you, your lack of motivation, or anything else we've listed off. It's most likely instead your HPA axis out of its optimal range for extended periods of time. And it's now trigger happy. It gets hormones out to your systems way quicker than would be optimal. There's a lot to this, but for today, in the interest of time, so we can get you off and running, the bottom line message here is there's really only one efficient and effective way to go about achieving your wellness or fitness goal successfully, whatever that goal may be. That's by setting the stage where you're able to balance your bio-individual terrain, which means helping your body to be rebalanced, whatever is chronically out of balance. It begins with your HPA axis. All of us are balancing work, school, family, financial pressures, health issues, major life changes, good and bad, basically daily life. So our HPA axis is called on over and over and over. Your body is doing everything it can to keep you safe, thriving, and it is working hard to help you survive. It's using loads of energy to constantly do what it can to bring you closer to your optimal balanced range. The HPA axis, made up of 3 organs, pretty much dictate all the messaging going on in your body. Your body is hormonally driven and responds to all the input our senses take in throughout the day, each moment, each second. When the input cumulatively tips the balance into stress that goes into auto drive of excreting too much hormone, all of our systems are impacted, which is why the HPA axis is the biggest influencer of all. And the one we want to start to influence first. It'll make everything else we do much more efficient and effective. All the want-tos we listed are negatively impacted by an HPA axis that's out of its optimal range. And the great news is, the amazing thing about your body is it has what you need to support rebalancing that HPA axis. You can influence the state of it throughout the day in mere moments using your tongue. I kid you not. Why we don't learn this early in school is beyond me. As a matter of fact, if you have anyone young, I encourage you to get on the app list for relaxing the evening routine that I'm having created for children. We are never too young or too old to positively influence our biggest influencer, the HPA axis. I'll actually provide a link to get on that list below. So recap. Your HPA axis is made up of 3 organs: hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals. It influences the balance of your nervous system and hormones. The nervous system controls virtually all the body's activities, and the hormones regulate these activities. The activities are the want-tos we listed off: the ability to regulate sleep, optimal weight, cravings, mood, fertility, blood pressure, optimal aging, focus, top-notch athlete. Because the HPA axis has its fingers in pretty much every single thing we do, we use your body's inherent tools. Your tongue, with your body's mechanisms, the physiological cascades, positively influencing them by the position of your tongue, to message that it's okay to reduce the output. Just for now, as we get you started, I'd like to ask you to trust my decades of experience. When I say your body is not broken, it's not working against you. That's what I thought. It's really not. All it wants to do, and all it thinks it's doing, is protecting you and providing you with the best possible life experience. So it's throwing you into a higher gear to try to keep you safe. We're going to unwind that. Together, over the upcoming 52 weeks, we'll unwind and support the big influencers, providing them with the essentials like today, the 2 tongue techniques that I'm going to teach you, and the slower breathing. Going in order matters, so if you're not already, please go to thesimplifyselfcare.com and get on the emails so you receive everything in order. As you learn just how amazing your body is, I guarantee you'll feel more and more empowered and relieved that you actually can achieve your goal. Let's wrap up the what we want to do and how with some of the science that we're leveraging. I'd like to bolster your confidence and increase your motivation to use the 2 tongue techniques and the slow breathing each night with more than just my suggestion. In the research article, The Anatomical Relationship of the Tongue with the Body System, quote, "The tongue position influences the whole body. If the tongue is positioned against the palate, the parasympathetic system will reduce its systemic activity." What does that mean? It means your HPA axis receives a calming message for the moment. The systems that it messages calm as well. Another study shares, quote, "Results indicated a significant reduction in heart rate variability when the tongue was positioned on the palate compared with tongue position on the floor of the mouth." What does that mean? The tongue position up behind your teeth, what I'm going to teach you in the next video, helps the heart to reserve its energy. Last research quote for today for the tongue, quote, "Knowing that there's such a rich nerve connection to the brain, scientists and doctors are turning to the tongue as a way to possibly stimulate the brain for neural retraining and rehabilitation after traumatic injuries or disease. Recognition that the entire body is a closed electrical circuit is leading to the new therapeutic modalities. Absolutely amazing. Inherently, we have the tools, the tongue. We can position it in a way that speaks to our 3 organs, our HPA axis. It sends the message that we can calm down. That, of course, is going to cascade into letting the other systems know. I hope that's helpful for you when it comes to the 2 tongue techniques, because it's going to seem really simple. So I want to provide you with some of the research. I grabbed 3 pieces of research for the breathing as well. just to bolster your confidence. If you're wanting blood pressure to be positively influenced, here is the article. There was a significant reduction in heart rate compared to the control group. As well, the systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure values following 12 weeks of slow, deep breathing improve. If you're someone who's looking to, on the want to, you're moody, you've got asthma or pain, quote, slow, deep breathing techniques are some of the oldest and simplest techniques demonstrated to have a variety of therapeutic effects on the body and mind. The growing literature on the effects of slow breathing reveal benefits for stress, affective mood disorder, asthma, and pain. If you're interested in optimal body weight, well, quote, the cumulative 6-hour difference between one prior day stressor and no stressor translates into 104 kilocalories. That could add up to almost 11 pounds per year. The findings illustrate that stress alters metabolic responses to high-fat meals in ways that promote obesity. What does that mean? It means if you're not able to relax your HPA axis, the way that you accept the macronutrient of fat is going to be different. It will shuttle more into storage and you will accumulate an estimated 11 pounds of body fat. If you relieve that stress and it's not accumulating, you are going to be able to use the body fat in a different way. How amazing is that? Again, this isn't willpower. This is leveraging science. Bring down your HPA axis. There's more techniques that have to follow, but this is the first one. What if you're constantly trying to change what you eat and incorporate and only counting calories, and yet at the same time you're having stress up the yin yang? You're not going to use the body fat as the same. If you want to reduce anxiety or the feeling of panic, quote, a new treatment that helps people with panic disorder to normalize their breathing works better to reduce panic symptoms and hyperventilation than traditional cognitive therapy, according to a new study. That's empowering. Now, how does one reduce stress on their body? Quote, the reduction of perceived stress score achieved following the practice of slow, deep breathing for 12 weeks was significant, extremely significant. In the initial video, it is your year for self-care. It is why I had this entire list of what is helped by balancing your HPA axis. So now you know, it isn't your lack of willpower, lack of motivation, lack of trying. It's not even that you don't have time. It's your hormones pumping out stress signals into your bloodstream, instructing your systems to behave in a protective way. They're directing your body to keep you more alert. Maybe that's why you're not sleeping so deeply, to stop using body fat. They have a rev baseline that fuels anxiety, exhausts you, depresses your mood, on and on. All so you're ready to fight, flee, or freeze. Your body wants you to survive. If you want to go deeper into the research, references and resources below. And here's something that I learned that I just want to say before we wrap up, that if you like the information in this video and you believe others who are looking would be helped, believe it or not, when you click the thumbs up, that's at the bottom, or it's underneath, I guess it's underneath each of the videos. When you click that thumbs up, more people will be helped because YouTube will put it in front of them when they're doing a search and looking up for self-care. So if you're someone who, like me, wants to help as many people as possible, you would be helping them actually find this video by clicking that thumbs up. When you're ready to do the 2 tongue techniques, the video is called Calm Mind, Relaxed Body, and that's where your week's focused action will be taught. I show you how, when to do the 2 tongue techniques, as well as the breathing. And in the following weeks, it'll be 1 video with a small animation that you can refer to in the playlist for the tools. This was the first week. We had to get a little bit under your belt so you get started. I can't say enough that I am super excited you're here, and I find it awesome that it's finally your year for self-care.